Hey, what's up? I'm gonna record the some commentary on the hands we played. I played a heads-up match against ramdeebam. I think this was like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. I've just been pretty busy, hadn't had a chance. So yeah, it's been a little while, but from what I remember, well, the biggest thing I remember is I'm pretty sure he was three betting me 42% of the time. I min raised every button all match, so um, basically, I guess when he's three betting me 42% of the time, probably in a vacuum, it's going to be better for me to tighten up a little bit, maybe like limp or fold some buttons. But in general, I tend to actually, when someone's doing something like that I think I can take advantage of a lot, I basically don't want to do anything that discourages him from doing that. So I actually keep opening 100%, knowing that I'm probably losing a slight amount of money with the bottom of my range, but also knowing that hopefully I'm going to make all that back and more from the fact that I just think through hitting 42% is just going to be way too much if I'm playing well in three bet pots. Other than that, he was 3xing, I forget what percentage of the time. I got really frustrated because it was a new HUD and I didn't have fold to three bet in there, and apparently that's not even like a standard stat in the normal pop up. So I don't know. A couple times in the match, I think you'll see me just like clicking on the stats, and I don't think I can even find it during the match. Um, I actually never even looked up what it was in the end, but I don't think it really matters, especially since I'm trying to do this commentary based on like my thought process. And if I didn't know what it was during the match, then it'll be better here if I actually don't know what it is. I'm sure I'll look it up afterwards. But anyway, um, yeah, with that, I'll start on the hands. Um, Obviously, I'm not going to be able to comment on every single hand. Um, honestly, that's not the exciting part anyway. Most hands are pretty straightforward. Um, yeah, I think this spot in the top is a really easy check back. Ace high with a flush draw, I think, is a good hand to have in my check back range. It protects my weaker hands basically. Then I bet the turn it's just basically a value bet. I have a flush draw. I don't think he's going to try to fight to win it. I do get him to fold stuff with like, you can have six outers that and stuff. River bet's also a value bet. A lot of people are calling king high. I think I'm beat almost never, so I think it's fine to be betting that river for value. Yeah, flop bottom pair, nut flush draw, easiest check call ever. I guess I could make a case for check raising that flop, but I think as a default, I definitely just check call, and then on that turn, I'm pretty sure I just fold. Yeah, see right now it says he's throwing 33, and I know that goes up. I'm not entirely sure why I called that Jack 10. I think that's just a fold on top. Um, I checked back flop, which is fine. On the turn, he can have plenty of ace x, king x. He's probably betting most pairs. I think it's going to be a pretty easy fold. Also, the part I remember is that in the beginning, I think I was just folding way too much on just in a lot of spots where I didn't think he had many bluffs, and he clearly shows he does. Like he shows up a couple times in like some spots I didn't expect him to bluff with literally just complete airballs, which means that he's actually bluffing a decent percentage of the time. Like if I were playing him again, I would snap call this queen 10. I think I end up calling anyway. Yeah. See that's not what I'm talking about though. Complete air. There were a couple times like that kind of spot, and he'd have like I don't even know. I don't remember the board, but just no equity at all, just barreling off. Um, Also, I think he was basically fighting for pot slot post flop, so I think defending king 4 off to a 3x is probably a little optimistic. Then flop is pretty standard. Check call king high is on that flop, going to be plenty good. This river, honestly, I think betting or checking is fine. You know, we're betting just to make him fold like threes, fours. I don't know if he folds 7x or not. Um, yeah. But, you know, or we can just check and take our showdown value with king eye. I think this was also the match where he liked check raising flops as the three better a lot. Like in this spot up top, he would check raise here a decent amount. I could be mixing that up with another match I played though recently. Either way, I think that's a bet, but just based on how I think I remember him playing, I would be snap getting in if he did check raise. Yeah, I think he adjusts his sizing later, but here at least it seems like he's going my two big blinds, and then he's making it six big blinds, so like 4 to 12. So I'm in position, I'm going to be defending really, really wide in that spot. Just I'm getting decent odds. He's got an insanely wide range. The Jack 9, I think I basically thought he would value bet it. Yeah, okay, I'm going to pause it real quick while it's still showing. So I check here because I think let's see, I was out of position. I think he just, did he just bet flop? Yeah, it was only $13 or $14 or chips. Yeah, I think he just bet flop, tournament check check, and then river 9. I mean, obviously, if I bet, I can get, you know, sometimes get a call from maybe like, I don't know. That's the issue. He doesn't really have a ton of bluff catchers, whereas he has a ton of missed. He has a ton of not only missed draws, like, you know, air hands that might take a stab. He also has. I was actually surprised he checked Queen Jack. I was expecting him to bet Jack X. I think he definitely bets King X. He obviously bets 9x. So I just think there wasn't a ton that he wasn't betting that he would call a river bet with. Plus, he had plenty of bluffs to make up for it. So I think it's a really easy check raise rather than leading there. But yeah, he checks back Queen Jack. I'm not sure how I feel like about that against my range. I mean, if I'm trapping Jack 9, I'm trapping, you know, all my value hands. So it's probably a good check back then against me. But like, even if he's checking back Queen Jack there, I still think it's a really easy check raise versus check raise rather than lead. He check called the bottom one as the three better. Turn a flush. That's, you know, pretty cool. In the upper right, I'm just gonna float Queen 8. I think it's high enough in my range. And then yeah, I think it's Jack. Yeah, ace Jack. I'm really surprised he doesn't go for a second street, but it kind of makes sense. He's, I mean, basically trying to get money out of the hand I had, like floats. And then, you know, if I check back, he can always bet river. Because I'm assuming what his thought process was. And yeah, he check raises here. Yeah, he check called the flop and then check raised the turn. I'm gonna pause it real quick. I'm pretty sure he just folds, but basically I want to justify why I shoved here. Essentially, I figure if he does have like the king of diamonds, he's not folding, and I really want that money to go in. Whereas if I call, it literally lets him play perfect rivers. I think he has some bluffs. Obviously, those are just gonna fold. I do not expect him to shove many of those bluffs if I call turn, because I think in his eyes, you know, I can be calling every single flush combo sets. Just I can have a ton of strong hands in my range if I call. So I don't think he's going to bluff a ton. And then obviously if he has a weaker flush, it's slightly better to shove because, you know, we don't want a higher diamond to come off and him to check fold river. Or like, yeah, and I don't think he's ever, I guess, yeah, so basically I don't think he's ever value raise folding here. And I don't think he's bluff shoving the river very often if he has a bluff here. So basically, yeah, I think it's just better to chip it in. I think he folds, so he clearly just had a bluff, but whatever. On the top, I'm assuming he c-bet and I called. Seems like it makes sense what happened. I hope I didn't bet when he checked. especially since he's been check calling a decent amount in this spot so far, what I've seen. And then yeah, this is like a super easy value bet. Ooh, not entirely sure how I feel about the overbet. I mean, it's a spot where he either has air or a bluff catcher. So from that point of view, it's kind of fine. But at the same token, if I had a bluff and have a bluff against, a range of air and bluff catchers, I'm going to want to bet smaller because he's going to fold all his air. And I'm just going to want to, pick up the free money when he has air. Versus here, with a bluff, I'm just making it way too big and it's just doesn't make any sense as a bluff. So I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of my overbet here. Obviously, when he does have a bluff catcher, it puts him in a tough spot. But I don't know. It depends what he thinks I'm capable of. But I know for a fact that I would not be overbet bluffing here. I would if I had air, I might even be betting like 15 here, just because he actually has a ton of air. And when I bet 15, it looks like I can be value betting really wide, so I'm actually going to get a decent amount of folds, I think. But see, I don't think I like overbetting here, but I do. I think he actually ends up calling me with worse. I think is what happens. Yeah, bottom's a spot where I think he just has air a bunch, so there's no point in me betting big, because, with bluff I can bet this size too. I can bet thin for value that size. Yeah, he calls me with fives. I'm not a huge fan of his 3-bet in the first place. I'm assuming he just thinks I'm going to be 4-betting really wide, so he wants to be able to 3-bet, 5-bet it all in. And he is, as of now, 3-betting 44%, so he's clearly he's clearly 3-betting a lot. And if he is going to 3-bet that much, he almost has to have like pairs in his range. Otherwise, I'm just going to... I mean, honestly, I think 3-betting that much is not going to be very good, but if he is going to do that, he definitely has to have like hands like fives, just low pairs that he can be 3-bet, 5-betting all in with. I'm not really a fan of my 3-barrel with 6-9 off. It's just complete no equity. Honestly, I think I should just be checking that back on the flop and giving up. Maybe bet turn if he checks, just because he's going to be like so air heavy. But I mean, I basically have close to the bottom of my range. It's possible for me to be checking back king x hands, some flush draws. So I can. It's not like he can literally take it away from me every time in that spot. Although I'm not entirely sure, because if I'm checking back and giving up all my air, I'm going to be pretty imbalanced towards air when I check. So, I don't know. Did he check back the flop on the top? I think that's what happened, and I just bet 2 streets for value. On the bottom, I'm assuming I floated that flop. 7-9. Again, it's kind of loose, but I got a backdoor flush draw. Oh, never mind. I thought I had a gut shot. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that float on that board. I have enough Broadway type hands that I think I can just give it up when I have 9 high, even with the backdoor flush draw. Flop pretty June on the bottom. If I don't raise, I'm gonna... Yeah, okay. Yeah, not raising there would be really horrendous. I got basically the top of my range in a spot I can't rep anything. Like literally A7, King 7, and pocket 7s are the only hands I can ever have here for value. And there's plenty of misdraws. I don't know. I expect to get like no credit for that check raise. So it's pretty awesome when I actually do have a hand there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure here I'm like trying to find fold to 3-bet and I just can't find it. Yeah, and top that's a really easy value bet. He's not checking back from any Jack X hands. He's gonna have plenty of diamonds he can call with. Same with the bottom. Flop top pair went check check. Turn 10, obviously you can have 10x, but it's a really easy value bet. He's gonna call with a ton of ace high, ton of weaker pairs. And folding out 2 overs is fine as well. Yeah, I like checking in those spots with 10-4 off there. I just have no equity at all. And I mean generally it's just whether I need to see bet some of those hands, because otherwise my check back range is just ridiculously weak. But if I'm c-betting too many of those hands, then my c-bet range gets insanely weak as well. So I don't know. I've been trying to work on figuring that kind of stuff out. It's pretty opponent dependent, I think, a lot of the times, but against someone good, then it's okay. Sorry, just saying, I was sort of rambling there. So the top here, I flatted a 3-bet, flopped a flush draw and a backdoor, or flopped an open ender and a backdoor flush draw. I mean, really, really easy call. The bottom, I wish I could see the sizing. I'm assuming he went to 6, I went to 18. And if there's 76 in the pot, including rake, that means he went to 38. So 18 to 38. Yeah, just over 2x. We're kind of deep. I don't mind that pill at all. I wish I could see what his 4-bet percentage was, but in general, heads up, his range is just gonna be wide enough, and I'm getting such great odds pre-flop. I already have 18, and I think I said 38. So I need to call another 20, and I'm getting like 3 to 1 directly, and he's gonna and I have a really, really fine equity against his range, where his value range is actually like super defined, and a lot of his 4-bet bluff range actually doesn't flop well ever. Like he's gonna have a ton of like ace x, king x. So then when I flop 2 pair and he has value hand, I'm gonna make a ton of money and all that kind of thing. So I think it's fine to be flatting 4-bets there, and that's sort of, I think I've discussed this. I do not like 5-bet shoving as a bluff. It's honestly, I think it's almost always bad. If you do the math on it, you can see it just has to work way more often than it ever does. Because anyone who's 4-betting enough for you to profitably 5-bet bluff is also 4-bet calling wider. Like, they're going to be 4-bet calling ace queen, pocket sevens, even like as wide as ace jack. So like, in general, if I see someone 4-betting too wide, I'm going to start calling wider, especially if they're doing that sizing. So yeah, I'm going to call with hands like 10-8 suited, or like I'll start. I think Jack 10 suited for me is usually a flat, but if I think they're 4-betting really wide, I'll start 3-betting it just so I can flat a 4-bet. And it plays fine if they flat the 3-bet themselves. So anyway, let's get on with the hands. So the top, he almost pots it. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. Yeah, I just fold. I figure I don't have a ton of clean outs. I basically have 6 semi clean outs in case if he doesn't have a flush already. And when he pots it, I just have to. I'm just not going to hit it often enough for it to be a profitable call. Bottom went check check. Turns a 5. I mean, he's going to have some 5x, but whatever. He also has plenty of ace x that he calls. He has way more ace x that he can call here with, or like even pocket sevens, pocket eights, pocket nines, those type of hands. I think he bets 10x plus almost every time, so I'm almost positive I was good on the flop here. So, and if he does have a hand like queen jack or king queen, I definitely want to bet just to get him to fold it. So on the top, I think I just check called flop and then just check folded turn. Yeah, one thing I think I also didn't really pick up on during the match was how often he was. Basically, I think I mentioned this earlier. He was just bluffing a lot more than I thought he was. So I think I was both like peeling pre-flop and flop too wide, and then not making up for it by calling down wide. I was just, folding way too many turns and rivers, I think. But we'll see how that goes. I think I check called the ace 10-5. Super easy value bet. He has plenty of like 7x, 9x, 6s, 8s, those types of hands. And he almost never has me beat, so. 23. Oh, so he 3-bet me pre. I checked back the king jack. Not sure how I feel about that hand. If I'm checking it back only to fold to a turn bet, that seems kind of exploitable. But then on the other hand, like I said, I can't be betting too many of those, or else then it's just exploitable that I'm betting way too weak for range. I'm going to rewind here because I did not see what happened in the ace-5 hand. Okay, that was 3-bet. So he 3-bet, I called. He bets, I call. Turns a jack. I think it's fine to call here. It's not like he's... Or do I raise? Actually, like... I don't think he's... Just based on like earlier hands, like he had that one hand where he bet a king jack with ace jack and then check called the turn. Or he checked the turn for sure. I forget if he check called or not. I just think in this spot, it's almost exactly the same, whereas if he had a jack X, I don't think he's going to be betting it as much. So I think he's really only betting like aces and king X for value on that turn. So I think calling ace-5 is fine. I think basically calling any pair is fine there. And honestly, ace-5 is better than like pocket eights there, just because I have, like if I'm beat, I can hit a 5 or an ace to be better, whereas eights I got 2 outs to improve. Plus, like if an ace rolls off on the river, I don't know if he's actually more likely to bluff it or not. So yeah, that's a spot where I think I might have wanted to call based on how I knew he played. I think I just saw a big bet. Most people aren't bluffing that spot ever. So I just, fold because I expect to see king X every time. But I think I like calling there. Just he's just not it's just too hard to have a strong hand, and he was actually barreling a ton. There's really nothing I can do. I mean, honestly though, my range is strong enough, and his range is strong enough that it's not a leak at all to just be folding there, even if he's bluffing. Obviously, bluffing too much, I mean. Like, if he's bluffing too much on a hole, I'm going to make up for it because that actually just, like, destroys my range. So it's not really that great of a spot to bluff. Around now is when I thought he was folding to too many 3-bets, so I just started like bombarding him with 3-bets. I think I 3-bet queen 4 suited there last hand, and then even the ace-5 off, like usually it's a pretty easy call. But I was just trying to out my 3-bet, I think, and just put some pressure on him and see how he reacted. And then obviously if I'm 3-betting that wide, I need to be 3-bet 5-betting all in with like hands like 10s. Okay, so I goes check. I think here I'm again trying to find a spot to 3-bet. I just couldn't find it. Yeah, so I go to pre-flop. I don't even think it's there. I've since added it to my HUD, but I think I just check fold here. Also, the other thing as a whole is his bets have been relatively large. Like I know in this case, my standard bet size would be between 20 and 24, just because ranges are wide enough. I want to get a better price on my bluffs, which I think will work a ton. Not to say that betting big is bad, but it does mean that, like game theory wise, I don't have to peel as wide, because he's getting a worse price on his bluffs. So, whereas if he bets smaller, I probably would pretty much have to be going with these tens. I think it's not terrible to be folding here. I think it's really close here between fold and call. A lot of people, though, just always have queen X when they do this, but or like a weak ace. So against those guys, I would definitely fold. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's pretty close. And I think from what I've seen, he's actually been giving my small bets some credit. I know he catches me once betting small as a bluff, but I think that's not till like a bit later in the match. Actually, I think I just led that king queen 8 with king 8. King queen 8 two-toned. I lead, he just sort of folds. I don't think I lead that much this match though, so I don't think that's a huge issue. I really like his bet there. When I check back the 9-6-6, I almost always have like, ace high, maybe some, even my low pairs, I think I'm just going to c-bet, just get him to fold overs, call ace high. Obviously I'm betting any 9, any 6. Maybe I check back weak 9s, I don't know, it's close. But, so, when he turns to 5 with ace 5, it's a super easy value bet. And then I think on the river there's more bluffs that I can have versus hands that would call a bet. So I'm assuming he was check calling that river, which I definitely think is the right play. It definitely is against me, I know that for a fact. But obviously I had value, showdown value, so I just checked it back, and we showed down. Yeah, I think this is also where I started putting pressure on him with 4 bets, when he's 3-betting, he's now at 37%. He's just going to have a weak range, so flatting 3 bets, 4-betting, just putting pressure on him in those spots with a really wide range. 9-7 off isn't the best hand, but it's a hand that's not good enough to call, and it's not going to play terrible if he flats the 4-bet. Like, I assume he's flatting the 4-bet with, like, ace-jack, king-queen type hands. Maybe some, like, 9-10 suited type stuff. So I'm, like, not dominated very often, have a 1-gapper. So, obviously it's not a great hand, but if I'm going to pick a hand to 4-bet bluff with, I think it's fine. Like, it doesn't have any blockers or anything, but it plays better than a lot of other hands do when he flats the 4-bet. Yeah, that's another case there. The king 5, I have jack 9. It's a spot I'd peel a decent amount, but his bet sizing is just so big that I just don't have to defend as wide. Like, I can really just afford not to. Same thing with the 10-9 suited as the 10-8 suited. It's literally the exact same spot. Then I turn a straight. It's a pretty good hand. I bet 40. I think I should have bet a bit bigger, just looking at stacks. So if he calls the 40, there's going to be 81. There's going to be one set. Actually, that's fine. If he maybe 45 or something. But if he calls the 40, there's going to be 145 behind into a 170 pot. Yeah, he has me covered. So 145 behind in a 170 pot. I think I just like betting bigger here. Like I said, not too much bigger, but maybe 45 or 50 to set up so river isn't quite as big of a shove. Because it's a spot where like he can definitely flat his straights. So I don't really want to have a ton of bluffs in that big of a river bet. So I think it just looks way too value heavy when I do shove the river for that big. So I think I really need to bet bigger here on the turn. Yeah, here's the bottom table I mentioned that I would also be betting small like this with the nuts. It's just a spot where I want to be. I'm probably betting this size with most of the hands in my range. I can get a cheap bluff because he doesn't have a hand that can call down too wide, but then I'm also going to balance it by betting ace of spades type hands. I can also value bet decently wide. I can bet like I definitely bet the queen of spades and the ten of spades. Probably check back the nine of spades. I don't know, nine of spades might be close. Because I think turn went check check, and he didn't bet the river. So I probably do bet nine of spades. Because I think he... I don't know, it's really close. Probably check back nine of spades, because he can... there's really not much of a reason for him to bet like the jack of spades unless he thinks I'm going to call super wide. Because I can still have, ace, king, queen of spades. Or ace, queen of spades. I think the king of spades was on the board. Yeah, the queen just off in the bottom. I hope I call this turn. Yeah, because he's not going to be betting his king x very often. He'll definitely be betting his ace x, 9x, a lot of pairs. But I mean, queen x is I think ahead of his betting range. And I also don't think he's going to be bluffing that river much. So I think it's fine. Maybe occasionally raise that river with that hand, but I think calling would be too wide. Because, I mean, I basically have the bottom of my turn calling range, so it's fine to be folding some of the bottom of my turn calling range on the river. Apparently 10-7 suited is just slightly too bad to call. I forget what that sizing was. I think it was a bigger sizing. I think he made it 48, and I made it 18. Yeah. I mean, he's clearly tired of me flatting his 4-bets. I think I've won every hand when I flatted the 4-bet. So he's just kind of making it bigger, which isn't bad. It's fine. But that's a victory for me. It makes him put more in when he 4-bets, so he can't. So if he is bluffing, it gives him a worse price. So yeah, same deal with the eights. I'm 3-betting so wide that this just has to be a hand that goes in my 3-bet, 5-bet shove range. It's a pretty horrendous flop for me. I think I just check fold here. I think calling here would be really bad. I really hope I just fold. Especially that when he makes it this sizing. Like, even if he bets that way with all of his air, just the way his 3-bet call range looks like, I do not have great equity against, like, honestly, his entire 3-bet call range on that flop. So I think it's a really easy check fold. Okay, so then he decides to start flatting 4-bets. And I'm like, oh, you're going to do that? I'll start. I'm bluffing with no equity at all. Honestly, I'm not a fan at all of that flop bet. It kind of smacks his 4-bet calling range. He snap checks this river, which makes me think that he almost never has anything. I'm not entirely sure why I bet so big. I think I can just bet like 55 and get the same result. I don't know if he has a lot of lower pairs or what, but I don't think he's just when he snap checks like that. I don't think he ever has anything. So I think it's a really easy river bet. Top 2 on the top, easy check raise. He's been giving me credit on those types of boards. I haven't been bluffing him too often though, so I really should start. Like ace high boards, if he's c-betting, just start check raising them. My standard is usually to just, float them decently wide because I think people never give you any credit when you check raise, but if he's folding to my check raises, then I need to start bluff raising them decently wide. I really have no idea what he's like bluff raising me with on king queen 4 rainbow after flatting a 3-bet, or not even bluff raising. I have no idea what he's even raising me with there. Um, I know I personally don't have a raising range there, I don't think. The bottom he did check raise as a bluff, or he did check raise as a three better for the first time that I've seen. It's a good turn for me. Basically, so in the bottom, I I threw out a 7-4 suited, which I don't know, it's on the loose side, but like I said, I've been three betting a lot. I think he's been folding too much, but like I said, I can't really check because I don't know how the HUD works. But obviously on that, obviously if I think he's folding too much and then he defends and then we get a flop like Jack 9-8 two-toned, we're just gonna check give up. When the Queen of Hearts turns, first of all, that gives me a decent amount more value range. Like I can have some one heart type hands, some like Queen X hands. I can even have checked like 10-9, 10-8, even Jack 10 I could have checked with the intention of check calling. So I can actually have a lot of strong hands here. I can't really have a flush, maybe 8x of hearts, but honestly it's the same with him. Like he would probably bet most of his flush draws. He might even bet 8x of hearts. I know if I'm in his spot, I definitely check back 8x of hearts, but a lot of people like betting there. So either way, he doesn't have a ton of strong hands on this board. So even though I like literally have no equity, like if he calls even my pairs, I mean, maybe he calls with like a single heart and a king, like king of hearts X, and then I have, you know, four outs. But I mean, you get the point. I'm literally bluffing any two cards here if I'm bluffing this hand, which honestly I think is fine until he shows he can adjust, because his range is just so weak on this turn, especially when he like, pretty sure he turbo check back the flop. So he like almost never ever has anything here. Maybe he'd already decided with like Jack 10 to check back. I don't know. So I think it's a really easy bet. He's probably gonna raise. Oh, yep. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what he's raising with, but you know, don't have much to think about when you literally have the bottom of your range. You have like a hand that's exactly the same as just two napkins. So obviously, I'm not gonna do anything but fold when I just have the super bottom of my range. Let's see how long the video here. Okay, I think the video I recorded was 2 hours long. We're at 24:10 now. I think I'll probably try to do like 40 minutes of the video at a time. I think it'll probably take me around an hour to do each of them, so I can have, you know, 3 parts. I mean, you know, at this rate, we'll have our full tilt money back before I finish all 3 videos, but the King 10, I forget if he check called or bet the flop, but I know he threw at me pre, I call, pretty standard. Flop top pair. Like I said, I forget if he bet flop or check called flop, but then obviously like turn still easy, super easy value bet. He mixed in a few of those, like he was making it five, or a couple times he min raised, and I thought that those were just misclicks, but he's been making it 5 a bit too, and that's not going to be a misclick. The Jack 10 is just an example of, so I'm going to pause it real quick. I mean, it's a pretty simple concept, but you know, ranges are wide enough that I just need to be, you know, if I'm folding 80% of the hands I flat is open with, it's going to be super exploitable. I know he's c-betting enough that I can be calling a lot wider than, you know, just pairs or like strong draws. So, you know, a gut shot with Jack high is a super like mandatory defend here. I have a gut shot. My Jack and 10 can both be good. I honestly can have the best hand a decent amount of the time here, and depending on how it runs out, if turn goes check check, I can bluff a decent amount of rivers. Not when I hit a Jack. I mean, like if it rolls out like 3-7 or something, and I'll be able to fold like a lot of his like low pair hands, ace high type hands. Although I expect him to be checking back ace high most of the time. But yeah, so it's like a super mandatory defend. Tournament check check, so now it's a super easy value bet. And he just folds. Um, I'm not a fan of my fold there. I have to defend some ace highs there. When I have a gut shot, I think I should be defending. I think I should be calling that bet. I can, bluff rivers. Obviously, I have one over. My ace high is going to be good a decent amount of time, and I have a gutter. So I think when I check back that flop, I really need to be calling that turn. But it's not a huge deal, I guess. Bottom. I think I bet the flop, right? Yeah. I think I bet. I keep forgetting there's rake. I'm wondering how I got to be 15 in there. Yeah, I bet flop, turn a gutter. I just bet. Yeah, I think I just give up on that river. Some of the times I need to be betting there, but I can't go too overboard with it. So, once in a while I can be bluffing river. That's one of the hard things about river bluffing frequencies is it's really easy on like previous streets to just figure out where in your what are your highest equity hands, and then use that to figure out what frequencies to like do stuff with. But on the river, you have a lot of hands that just literally have zero equity against their range, or at least against like a calling range. This is interesting. I think I really need. So I'm gonna pause it and I'm gonna finish what my thought was there. So yeah, you have a decent amount of hands that literally have no equity against a calling range. So it's a little harder to figure out exactly which of those hands to bluff. It's more of a frequency thing, just doing it once in a while. Obviously the best is if you really had a frequency and then you legit just like, I don't know, go to random.org or something and then use that to determine whether to bluff it or not. I just try to I try to use like the dynamics in the match. I mean, that's not going to be great against someone really good, but I mean, I just try to sort of randomize it. Like I said, that's not going to be good if picking up on it, because then if I'm maybe tilting a bit, I might be more likely to just bluff because fuck it, I want to win this pot. But I don't know what the answer is. Like I said, usually what I try to do is just like base it on the dynamics of the match and whether I think he's going to be bluff catching a lot there or not. Okay, so the top, I'm going to rewind it a tiny bit just to see what happened in the hand because I do not remember. I know I think I flatted a 3-bet. Oh no, I opened. Okay. Yeah, I open. He check. Oh, he leads. Okay. Oh, he leads and then check raises. When he leads and checks, I think it's a super easy value bet. It's not so much a value bet. It's more just getting him to fold his equity, or he can call like hearts, diamonds, whatever. But when he check raises, it's like he can't really ever have anything. It's kind of a bad river for me. But then when what? Okay, that was really weird. Okay, so he check raises bottom pair, or the five second from bottom pair. I mean, it's not. If he's gonna bluff a hand, like that hand is probably one of the better ones. Because like if he didn't hit trips and then he bets a diamond river, I'm in kind of a spot where I'm not entirely sure what to do. Because like he leads flop, check raises turn. I definitely think he can have diamonds in his range. If I remember though, he was leading a lot, so I probably am calling. I probably call that river, honestly. I'm not entirely sure why he checked it. Maybe he thought I had diamonds too much. But I really, really doubt he was check folding when he rivers that. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I was like trying to decide whether there were merits to rebetting the turn. Because I think I'm just so rarely behind. But he can have like hearts or like other hands like 5x like he has, or maybe even like even if he has like some he can even have some better 8x, I guess, that he turns into a bluff. I don't know, it's a really weird line in general. I don't see it that much, so I'm just sort of guessing. I wish I'd talked about this before I saw the results, but can't really do that now. So anyway, I'll just keep going. I think that's a pretty interesting hand though, just to look at ranges. And it definitely is interesting to note that he's leading a gut shot with no draw, no backdoor draws on a two-tone board. I think that's like super important to know. 23 means I think he three bet me there, and then he bets like a third pot on that flop. And, I have king high with a gut shot, so it's a pretty easy peel. And the backdoor jack high flush draw. He checks, super easy check back. I think this is when he ends up showing up with like 10x. Oh no, he just a 9. Okay. Yeah. So he rivers a 9. So yeah, that I do need to keep in mind also that he is capable of betting just complete bluffs on those kind of boards smaller than like that was a third pot, I think. So I need to keep that in mind, but the top I check back flop with king high and a gutter. I turn the gutter, so obviously I bet for value. I don't know why my mouse is over the check. I hope it was just an accident because this is never ever check. When he's three betting me so much, I might even just be able to flat 9-5 suited in position there. It's not the end of the world to four bet it. See, I four bet it, flop, fucking flop the nuts basically. I have 9x and a flush draw. I hope I check back turn here. Yeah, I don't think I'm getting a bunch to fold. Definitely not really getting value. I think he's folding ace high more often than not. And then he bets. I think it's a I don't know why he's flatting a 4-bet with queens and not just getting it in. Maybe he thinks my 4-bets are actually like super air heavy and he wants to keep them in. I'm not sure how I feel about that river call. I think in my head I was just thinking he's floating a lot since he's like fed up with my 4-bets, but I don't know. I mean, him having queens full there doesn't really mean that it was a bad play. Like obviously they're in his range, but if he's not value betting thinly enough and he's bluffing a decent amount, then it can still be fine to be calling with 9-5 there. I think it's close. I think it's probably a fold though. Actually, flop also might be better played as a check call, just because it doesn't look like diamonds ever. So it's like, I hopefully get paid when I hit. Plus I can, always just decide to bluff later, and it actually looks more credible once I've checked a street. Just because I can have wider for value. I think I 4-bet the queen 3 off, and he called turn a gutter, so I'm going to barrel. And then river, I think I bet when the flush hits. Yeah, I have 115 left. I think the king X on the river just makes it look like I don't have as many bluffs as I do. Obviously he's not folding king X or a flush. It just depends how wide he was peeling the flop and turn, whether that was good or not. He thought for a minute with king jack, so it can't be that bad. He's probably folding worse pairs. Yeah, I flop a set. Get raised, that's always good. Yeah, just call, get like the worst turn ever. Yeah, I was gonna say, I hope I call there. That's like, the bottom it was ace 10x, flop goes check check. Oh, it was ace 10 6. I have king 10. Flop goes check check. Turns whatever. I value bet. He calls. River's a 6. I value bet a river, and he raises. I think that's 6x a ton of the time. Although it's also one of those boards he might be just like randomly bluff raising a lot. So I think I probably like calling just as a default. Oh wow, and he has 6-7 there. Wait, did he really? Yeah, so he check raised. This is one of the times where I realized that he's like just trying to win pots with any two cards a lot of the times. Yeah, he's check raising 6-7 off on King Jack 10 Rainbow. If he's check raising that hand, then he's check raising so wide on this board. So that's when I sort of realized that I'm really not defending post flop wide enough. Obviously, he runners the straight, but that's obviously irrelevant. Okay, I'm at a little over 31 minutes, so I'll go another 10 minutes or so. Okay, the ace king here, I threw at pre. My bet's a value bet. It's just plain and simple, trying to get him to call with worse ace x. I think check call and bet is close, but yeah, he has ace jack. I might even be able to bet river for value, honestly. As long it just depends how often he's calling with his worst ace x. I mean, he definitely has some pairs that beat me, but he has ace x a lot. Yeah, I decided to lead the ace 9-8 two-toned. I have a gutter, no backdoor. It's backdoor, another backdoor gutter, but it's almost exactly the same spot he had earlier, although I do have 2 overs to 8x and 9x. Then I overbet the turn. I think a lot of the times he's actually, like, he can't ever have a strong hand. He's kind of capped at ace x. Maybe he has like ace 3, but I think if he has 2 pair a set, he's raising my lead a lot. So I think when he just calls the flop, he's relatively weak. So I'm just going to attack that overbet here. He calls. I think I was planning on bluffing a lot of overs too, but then when I hit the queen, I end up... I think I check and he checks back ace x. I don't know whether he calls a river bet with ace x or not, but oh wow, what? See, that's one of those spots. It's like 92. He literally, it was like a little over 2x pot. I don't know. Maybe he can bluff that way. I think more often than not, though, he just has like Jack 10. Yeah, check call King 7 high, turn a 7. Easy river bet for value. He calls with worse. Queen 7. I also really hope that these beep sounds that I can hear, along with my Skype notifications, don't end up in the video, because that would be kind of annoying, but they might. So yeah, I checked back 8x. I raised the turn because like literally I rep like 8-4-4s. I'm probably betting 4 deuce on the flop, so it's like I'm repping really narrow. And that's a pretty bad river for me, because now I lose to 10x, so I think I just check back river. It might even be good. Yeah, he had 8x. Like his call's fine, just because, like I said, I rep so narrow. But that's why I need to be raising 8-4 there. Like even I don't have to bluff very much for that call to be profitable, because my value range is so tiny. ace high there. I've actually been thinking about that spot in general, like 3 4 5. Generally, I'm calling ace highs for two streets when I also have a gutter to go with it. The only issue here is that might be like super face up. Like I might he if he realizes that, he knows that I have a ton of ace X when I call this turn, so he can just just barrel the fuck out of those boards when the river's not a deuce. And, it's especially gin when he has like 6x here, because then he knows he gets paid when the deuce hits, and he can just bluff all rivers that no one hits. But yeah, when I hit an 8, obviously I'm not folding now. Yeah, he just had, no standard, no equity, just 3-barrel. Actually, no, he had a gutter on the flop. It's not no equity at all. Yeah, this was just when I got the my hard drive set up, so I hadn't adjusted the star settings either. So usually I turn the sounds off, but it's just like burp, 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 burp every time. So I'm really hoping that's off for the video, but if it's not, then well, whatever. Actually, what I should have done if I was smart is just turn the sounds on the video off. I'll definitely do that for the other parts, but this part's almost over, so I'm not gonna deal with it. I think I flatted a 3-bet and then flatted a flop bet with the ace-9 off. It's pretty standard, and just fold that turn. I don't think he's gonna be bombing that turn too often. Like I said, I can have enough king x, jack x that I don't really need to defend ace x there. I 3-bet 7-8, so I think it's a really easy value bet. With the 2-pair, he's going to float me with a ton of ace x, ton of random whatever. River, I think, is a check fold. I don't think he bluffs very often. He can definitely have a ton of king x. Even flushes, I guess. I don't know how wide he's peeling to know how many flushes he has in his range, but I just don't think people bluff there very often. So it's fine to just fold even if it is slightly exploitable. Okay, well, this is almost at 40 minutes. The video I'm recording is almost an hour, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. Just let me finish this hand. Did I c-bet that flop? 4-8? Yeah, I must have c-bet middle pair there. And then it's a super easy turn bet. Actually, I'm not entirely sure. I think it actually might play better as a check. Oh, I guess I got tricky there. I'm not a fan of flatting 3-bets usually with aces, but I did. And then I flopped top set and turned a boat. So the 9-7, I think it's better just to check turn, just because I get money from all of his just random flop floats. I really hope I call this river, just because I want to know what he has. I don't know if it's a call or a fold. I think the turn might have... I don't know. He doesn't really rep anything, so I think it's probably fine. I know if he's bluffing that turn a lot, though, he's probably following through on the river a lot, too. So I think I need to call. Yeah, he's just 4-3 off, or 4-3 suited, but just bottom pair. Yeah, I should also note that he does love doing that. Like on a lot of boards that are like kind of scary looking, he'll turn his bottom pair type hands into bluffs. Okay. Well, not for real. I'm pretty much done. The video that I'm watching is about at 39 minutes, so I'll just kill it at 39. And then, let's see. I don't think that's super exciting. I don't know if I'll probably just check fold this flop, honestly. Anyway, thanks for watching. uh, hopefully helped a bit. I'd be happy to answer any questions. This was the I've actually played a decent amount of heads-up matches since this video, but this was sort of the first real online session I'd even played since Vegas, so I was definitely a little rusty. So yeah, I mean, I definitely mentioned some spots where I know I could have played it much better. But I think for the most part I played all right. But yeah, I'd welcome feedback. I'm happy to answer any questions. Hopefully, he can get ramdeebam. I think that's how you pronounce it. Hopefully, he can get his side of the video, and we can, see. I think it's interesting to see both sides of those kind of videos with thought process, just to see how the adjustments were going and what our thoughts are on the other person's game as it's going. So yeah, for now that's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.